This time our fraction is going to be a little bit different. We're going to have different denominators. So we're going to be adding 1/2, and we're going to add to that 1/3. Now this is going to be a problem because we have a look, there's our half, and then there's our third. But the only problem is we haven't got equal amounts here, because we can't just say, well, we've got anything in thirds here or anything in halves here. What we need to do is change our denominator so we can have them in the same type of fraction. Because they're the different types of fractions. That's a half, that's a third. So they're different fractions. What we need to do is change them. Now I'm going to drag some other number lines up here so I can play around with this and get my equivalent fractions. And this is what I'm doing here. I'm doing equivalent fractions like we've been doing in the past few weeks. We're going to get equivalent fractions to help solve this equation. So we've got 1/2, and we're going to add to that 1/3, but we need to change it. We haven't got the same denominators. So what we need to do is change it to 6. Now I chose 6 because I found the lowest common denominator between two, what we call the lowest common denominator between 2 and 3. It's also what we call the lowest common multiple of 2 and 3. So if we remember our work we did in the last chapter on lowest common multiples, we're looking at the smallest number that both 2 and 3 go into. And that would be 6. 2 goes into 6 3 times. So you can see that we've got 6 would be equal to 1/2. So if we change 1/2 into 6, like our equivalent fractions, we multiply the 1 by 3 to give us 3, multiply 2 by 3 to give us 6. So 1/2 becomes 3/6. Now if you look at 1/3, that can be written as 2/6, because that's the equivalent fraction. Notice they take up the same amount of space. 1/3 takes up the same amount of space as 2/6. 1/2 takes up the same amount of space as 3/6. So now we're back to the situation where we can add the same type of fraction. Remember, we have to have the same type of fraction, same denominator in the bottom there. So when we do that, we add up our 3/6 and 2/6. 3 plus 2 gives us 5/6 as our answer. So 1/2 plus 1/3 is actually taking up the same amount of space as 5/6. So we can't add the denominators there. Again, I'd probably see 2/5 as a denominator, which is just not equivalent to 5/6. 5/6 is getting really close to 1. 2/5 is nowhere near 1. So you can see just by that rough estimate that it would be incorrect. But we have to get our equivalent fractions. This is why we did a lot of work over this in the first part of this topic, is to make sure that when we go to add and then later subtract two fractions, that when we don't have same denominators, we're able to change them into fractions that have the same denominators so that we can start to add our fractions.